Thank you very much, Senator Blumenthal. To Senator Feinstein, thank you for leading this effort. To all of my colleagues, new and old, to law enforcement families. Dick and I and Elizabeth were there that day, and as the father of a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, there are a lot of moments when I wish I could take back what I saw, that just heaving, incomprehensible grief that comes, especially in those first moments of trying to understand what just happened. But make no mistake, the grief and the trauma in Newtown isn't abating, it's multiplying. Because in a tiny town like that, when you take away the lives of 20 kids and 6 adults, many of which lived in tiny little neighborhoods, 4 or 5 children came from one street in that town. The grief just continues. Let me tell you what's happening today in Newtown, Connecticut. Sandy Hook Elementary School has moved. A lot of the teachers haven't come back. A lot of the students haven't returned. But in each one of those classrooms, there's a safe word. In one 3rd grade classroom, it's monkey. And a couple times every day, a kid yells out that safe word when he gets into a conversation with a fellow student that he doesn't want to be a part of. The 3rd grader talking about what he saw that day, the bodies he stepped over, the look that he caught in the shooter's eye. That's what's happening today in Newtown. That's what happens in communities that deal with one of these mass atrocities. It's not just the families who grieve, it's the trauma that just washes over these communities like waves in the weeks and months afterwards. Kids would be alive today in Newtown, Connecticut, if the law that we're proposing today were in place on December 14th of last year. It's as simple as that. Why do we know that? We know that because the data tells us, despite what the gun lobby will say, that the first assault weapons ban, even with its warts, worked. Within 9 years, there was a 2/3 drop in crimes committed with assault weapons. There was an overall drop in gun violence across the country by 7%. 40% of the mass shootings in this country, 40% in the history of this country has happened since that assault weapons expired. More kids would be alive today in Newtown today if this law was on the books, because we know what the numbers tell us, but we also know what happened that day. We know that most of these incidents end when the shooter has to reload. Either the gun jams or people are allowed to intervene. You know what? To get off 100 rounds that day in about a 10-minute period of time, Adam Lanza had to reload twice. 2 times he had to reload. Things would have been different if that was 9 or 10 or 11. And second, I think there's a question as to whether he would have even driven in his mother's car in the first place if he didn't have access to a weapon that he saw in video games that gave him a false sense of courage about what he could do that day. We know that if this law was in place on December 14th, there would be little girls and boys alive today. The gun lobby has said over and over again in the last several weeks that this is just a feel-good piece of legislation. You know what? They're right about that. It would feel really good if Allison and Charlotte and Daniel and Olivia and Josephine and Anna had got to enjoy Christmas with their parents. It would feel really good if Dylan and Madeline and Catherine and Chase and Jesse and James took the bus to school this morning. It would feel really good if Grace and Emily and Jack and Noah and Caroline and Jessica and Aviel and Ben were alive today. It would feel really good if parents all across this country didn't have to wake up every morning worrying that without action, that their kids were at risk, just like those kids in Newtown. This is going to be hard. This is going to be difficult. But to honor those 20 lives and 6 more in Newtown, we're going to get it done. Thank you very much.